Hello and welcome to the Game Lore Archives. I'm Joe.
And I'm Dan.
And today we're going to be discussing an event known as the Dark Exile.
Ooh.
This event had huge ramifications to the whole of Sanctuary. And unfortunately for such a big event, not much is actually known about it. So as you can probably guess by the video's length. However, it's far too important for us to simply ignore. Now, before we start, it is important to note that the Dark Exile was a direct result of the Sin Wars, so go and watch that episode first before watching this one.
So, for those who didn't watch the other video, despite us specifically telling you to, the Too Long Didn't Read is Angels and Demons discovered Sanctuary and didn't like each other, and it was a long time ago. So, Mephisto and the Angris Council sat down without fighting and discussed what should be done with this newfound realm. The angels voted that Sanctuary be allowed to continue, so Mephisto proposed that if a rebel angel called Inarius was given to Hell, Hell would back off and leave Sanctuary alone.
It's a good deal.
It's not a good... It is a good deal.
Well, not for Inarius, it's not a good deal. It's a bad deal for him.
It's just that, like, this is a bad day for me.
This is a bad day. Well, unsurprisingly, Mephisto lied. While the Primevals didn't outright destroy Sanctuary...
And, to be fair, they didn't tell the four lesser evils of its existence.
They did turn their sights on the humans. After seeing the power that mankind could wield, they realised that humans were the key to winning the war against heaven. This change, in fact, didn't go unnoticed, though.
The lesser evils noticed the change in the primes, and a rift began to form between them, as they didn't know what the primevals were planning, so they began to believe that the primevals were afraid of heaven's forces and were too cowardly to launch another attack. They started to believe they were superior to the primevals, who had abandoned them in the war, and the eternal conflict was now their sole responsibility. And eventually, they too discovered the existence of Sanctuary, which worsened the relationship further, as the lesser evils were furious they weren't told.
Eventually this frustration came to a head. Azmodan, Lord of Sin, and Belial, Lord of Lies, saw the situation as their chance to overthrow the Prime Evil's rulership and take control of the entirety of Hell. Belial manipulated Azmodan into open revolt, and he told the demon lords of Hell that unlike the Primes, humanity would not deter them into stopping the war against heavens. And Dariel and Duriel did not openly rebel at first, fearful of the Prime's power. However, Belial kept them involved with the plans until they came round. Azmodan, the greatest tactician in Hell, devised a plan to not only claim Hell themselves, but bring an end to the eternal conflict. And so a huge revolution was set in place, and the entirety of Hell went to war against the three prime evils.
The civil war raged over every realm of Hell. The primevals wielded their powers with great effect and managed to destroy a third of all of the demon population. Eventually, Hell's legions overcame them, though, due to their sheer numbers. Obviously, demons can't truly be killed as their bodies reform, so instead of killing them, the lesser evils destroyed the primes and banished their weakened spirits to the mortal realm, hoping they'd be trapped there forever. Azmodan believed that the primevals set loose in Sanctuary, the forces of heaven would need to turn their focus onto finding them, leaving the heaven gates unguarded and easy to be overthrown. But before they attacked heaven, they hunted down any demons still faithful to the primes. Many of these escaped their wrath by fleeing to Sanctuary to find their lost masters.
However, in typical demonic fashion, Azmodan and Belial soon began to argue over who wielded higher authority. We said it way back in our first episodes that the forces of Hell are so much stronger than heaven, but only when they work together.
Which they're just incapable of doing for long periods of time.
The pact swiftly ended, and a second civil war began between Belial and Azmodan. Azmodan had the upper hand for the majority of the time. However, the war fizzled out during Diablo 3's events before a victor actually emerged.
Now, you might be thinking that the Primeval sound a little bit less scary, cast out from their own home. However, the three brothers are far cleverer than anyone gives them credit for, particularly Mephisto. The Primes had learned of the artifacts known as the Soul Stones, and had devised a plan to use the Angels' weapons to corrupt the World Stone, along with humanity itself, and had so subtly manipulated the lesser evils into casting them out. Because they knew what was going to happen, and they even managed to arrive in Sanctuary without the Angels realising, so focused on the Civil War.
So now, thanks to the lesser evil's betrayal, the three most evil beings in the whole entire universe were right where they wanted to be.
Or at least they claimed they wanted to be.
They claimed they wanted to be. And so their reign of terror on Sanctuary began, unlike anything mankind had seen before. Sanctuary, once a world of development and expansion, became a place where only the strongest could survive. The three ravaged the lands of the Far East, inhabiting the bodies of humans in high power to manipulate and deceive as they saw fit.
Eventually, Tyrell discovered the Prime's presence on Sanctuary, however chose to keep it from the rest of the Council, as they were so close to destroying Sanctuary the first time, and he alone had managed to get it spared. So instead, he put together another plan, and that plan will be discussed in another episode. Sorry guys, you're going to have to wait for another couple of weeks. But please subscribe so you can hear the next part of the Diablo timeline, and we'll see you then.